Okay, 6 o'clock, call the meeting to order. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of April 12th, 2022, Select Board's meeting.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, additions. Have correspondence from the dam inspection for Townshend Dam and old business Residue Inc. contract. Under correspondence, Charlie, we're going to get to you pretty quickly. So, in your packets is a letter for the inspection of Townshend Dam to meeting the requirements for safety. I'll leave it for you to read at your leisure. We'll add a copy of it into the minutes for it to get approved for next meeting. And it just simply says that they've done their due diligence and done the inspection and everything. It looks fine. There's also a dam emergency response meeting. I think it's May 19th, something like that. I'll get the date if anybody's interested. It's just anybody that's in the watershed has the right to be on that conference call. Warrants, go ahead, Rob.
Make a motion to pay warrants. Starting with number 1, payroll, in the amount of $10,428.96. Number 2, payroll tax, in the amount of $4,557.69. Number 3, general fund, in the amount of $15,789.54. Number 4, highway fund, in the amount of $4,863.65. Number 5, highway equipment fund, in the amount of $1,977.69. And number 6, restoration of some data, $6,285 for a total of $43,902.53.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Anybody else have any discussion on this? Any of these? I just want to explain restoration. You might have a question after that. Restoration, if you remember, Alenka came to us back in, I believe it was October, and asked about input about having her records digitized. Okay. She had a restoration budget so that we could get the project moving. She committed to sign the contract. That was right around $40,000. The ARPA funds came in after that. The ARPA funds clearly will allow us to use them for this project. So rather than deplete the budget of that $40,000 and not have the ability to restore those records if something happens to them, we're working on getting that submitted by Friday. What I asked the treasurer to do is to submit the bills to a warrant to be approved in case we have to upfront that cost. I'm not sure that it will. I think we'll be able to tap into those ARPA funds, pay the bill by Monday. That's why that's there. Okay. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Steve, go ahead.
It's beaver season. We have 3 active locations in town currently. Last year, the town hired Daniel Sherman to trap the beavers at $75 a tail. He's not willing to do that this year, but Otto Tarbell is willing to trap for us this year at $65 a beaver.
I'd make a motion to hire Otto Tarbell to trap the beaver.
Okay.
Second that.
The motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And this week, I will be writing 2 invitations to bid. One for the paving of the remaining section of Wyndham Hill, and the second for the jaw crushing that'll take place in the town pit.
Any questions for Steve?
That's all I have.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, is that the only piece of pavement we're going to try to put down?
So we have $100,000 raised in taxes and $100,000 in grant money from the state. That'll allow us to finish 1.65 miles remaining of Wyndham Hill and the 211 feet on Island Drive. The only thing I see as an issue is the price of oil is so unstable. It was 97 yesterday, it was 104 today. If it gets up to $120 a barrel, the price per ton in place is going to be so high that 200 grand won't even complete the 1.65 remaining. That's the unforeseen right now.
When they give you a quote, that doesn't stick? Or they haven't given you a quote yet?
No, I'm writing the invitation to bid this week, and I'll send it out to, it's going to Basin Brothers, it's going to Allstate Asphalt, it's going to Springfield Paving, and this year we're going to invite a new contractor, which is Vermont Roadworks. And the reason for that is because we're using state grant money. Under their policy and procedures, we have to invite ethnic-owned companies. This one's a female-owned company. They specify trying to get them into the bidding process, so, but we're including Vermont Roadworks.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
I am curious, is that a town policy for the social equity aspect of bidding?
It's not in the town procurement policy, but it's in the state grant wording.
State, okay.
So because the state is funding half of the paving project, we have to go by their guidelines.
That's interesting, okay.
Okay. Anything else? All right. So the treasurer's report. Again, this is under the new process that we've been working with, and basically, it says right now it says we are $40,611 over budget in our accounted for expenses. That will change when we take in taxes in May, but all this is an ability for us to keep track of on a bi-weekly basis where we are in the budget flow. Actually, in the bank accounts, it registers at $575,737.36, and the usual $30,000 in the checking account. All right. We didn't get a town clerk's report this time. I don't have anything for you. Other than there'll be a rescue meeting in May over their contract. It's their annual meeting, and they're going to discuss some of the challenges. The contract is here, and we'll take care of that in a little bit. Let's see. West Townsend Stone Arch Bridge. Charlie?
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is kind of an update. Notice we have 2 new board members. I don't know if you have one of these.
No, thank you. I'm Rob.
Yeah, I'm Charlie.
Hi,
Nice to
Charlie.
meet you.
You too.
Okay, we've met.
Yeah.
You guys should have one of these. You want one?
Yes, I have them. Can you buy them?
Okay.
Okay. Nothing's changed in those. I'd just like to bring you up to date on the on where we're at and where we'd like to go with the West Townsend Bridge in terms of getting it restored. Steve and Sherwood and Connie and I met just to go over questions, and because members of the board had questioned Michael's reassessment of the cost of the project. And some of the basics of that get-together was, would Michael be willing to meet with the board, and the board be willing to meet with Michael? And the answer to those is yes and yes. He was away. Lee Petty's been keeping track of him. He is now back, so I guess I'd have to ask when would be an appropriate time for him to either meet with some members of the board or come to a board meeting. What would you rather have him do? So that, you don't have to answer that now, just think about it, but he is willing to meet and he's now back in the country. He was out of the country for a couple of weeks. I think you know, but if you don't, it was in the paper. We were fortunate to receive an award of money from Senator Sanders' office to the total of $221,000 toward this project. We haven't received that money yet, so you know how that goes. But when we do, we know we're going to have time limits to spend it. So what I would like the whole board to think about, and we discussed this the other day, is a time frame for doing this project, and we're kind of looking at, if we can pull together the rest of the funding through the Historical Society and any other grant money that can come by way of the board, can we proceed with this project starting April 1st of next year? At least use that as a target date to go forward. And of course, all conditioned on receiving these monies. But at least have the plan in place so that when we do receive these monies, especially the ones that have to be spent within a particular time frame, we'll have the plan in place to move forward and do the project. All the technical aspects of bidding and who gets to bid and all that really is not the Historical Society's, you know, part of the ball game, because we wouldn't be signing the contracts for these. This is a town bridge. They'd have to sign everything. So we have to follow those guidelines, and we're certainly willing to help. The other thing that I had on my list, besides the town, the issue is also brought up is once this project starts, it can't be done in stages. So it has to be done all at once, which means while the work is being done, the bridge is going to be closed. So that's another issue that the town has to deal with, and we're willing to help do the public relations that needs to be done to help people with that issue. A number of people have asked about this. I think we agreed at our meeting. This has gone on for quite a while, and so we're kind of thinking we need to move it along, because people ask questions. We're about ready to send out our spring newsletter, and that always brings questions. It also brings more donations, which is part of the reason why we put that sort of thing in there, is to ask people that are getting our mailing to contribute to the project. And we have had one person particularly interested in the Fairbrook Bridge by Bo Royce's house, i.e. I'm going to give you some money, but it's toward that bridge, not toward the West Townsend one. And that certainly needs some help. I've talked with Steve about what can we do to at least make it a safety issue, and we're going to work on that as time goes on and as there's time to do that. The other issue has to do with when this is done, there'll have to be a new road surface, and there'll have to be, they're called parapets. They're the sides to the bridge now that are, if you look at them, they got some issues. We'd like to redesign them, and of course they're going to have to conform to correct standards, but Robert DeGrenier and I have been searching designs of what they might look like, and we encourage you to do the same thing. And of course they have to meet the the road standards and all that. But the ones I've been looking at are ones that are on existing bridges that I've looked at and said, oh, these are pretty cool, compared to what is there now, which surprisingly, I didn't realize those cement, well, they've probably been fixed a couple of times, but they're over 100 years old. And I didn't know that until I saw some pictures that were around 1906, and the cement parapets are there, and I go, holy mackerel. They're not the original ones, but that's still pretty lengthy time for cement to hold up. And I have to say this because I went down and looked at them taking apart the cement arch bridge in Williamsville. Well, it's too late because it's down now, but I was there when Renault Brothers was on top of it with one of those needle pointing, I don't know what you'd call them, they smash up stuff. And the guy is up on the arch, and I'm thinking, holy cow, this is incredible. And then there's an article in the paper, and then the Newfane News, the Newbrook News had an article. And just so you know, that project's a $4.5 million project. So when you compare it to what we're proposing, and it's already been pointed out that the arch is fine and passed inspection, it's it seems like kind of a bargain compared to those prices. And I don't, of course, they're going to make it wider and, you know, bring it up to standard. And that bridge didn't last as long as the Stone Arch Bridge. When you think about it, that bridge was put in place, I think, in the teens, maybe, or early 20s, and is being replaced. And then in the article it said it's being replaced on the basis of a 50-year lifespan. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, you know, the Stone Arch Bridge is 120-some years old. You know, maybe they should be building all the bridges Stone Arch.
They don't make them like they used to.
Yeah. Anyway, just for comparison purposes. So that's kind of the update of where we're at, and we're ready to roll. And I just wanted you to know that there is going to be an update in our newsletter, which you'll all get a copy of. So if people start asking questions, we certainly thank the town for their support on these articles that we've had in the past. And people are starting to wonder, you know, what are you going to do with the money? That's it.
Okay. As far as the question of whether a group will meet with them or the entire board, what's everybody's opinion of that? The only question I have about it is we have to be extraordinarily careful when we meet with this current person, that we don't lead him to believe that he's got the bid.
Right.
So he's giving us the information based on his knowledge and experience, but that doesn't generally necessitate him getting them.
Right. I'm going to use the scope of the project that he came up with to put together the invitation to bid, because I'm not a stone bridge mason, so I need his assessment to write up the invitation to bid.
Which the town paid for, and,
correct.
And we hired him to do, so
right.
There's nothing wrong with that as I see it.
Right, so he's going to educate me in how to write up this invitation to bid, so the contractors who are bidding on the project have an apples to apples, are all bidding on the same thing, and we'll see where it shakes out.
Okay. I mentioned to Steve and Sherwood, the only comparable project that I know of is the High-Low Biddy Bridge that was also a Follett Bridge that was restored in Putney. So they've been through the process of getting that done, and the difference is that's not a drivable bridge. That's you just walk on it and ride your bicycle. Where I think it's pretty significant that this is part of our infrastructure, as is the Simpsonville Bridge, which people are stunned that they know they're going across the Stone Arch Bridge in Route 35. And if you notice, since the Athens Road got paved, I haven't done the survey, but I live on Route 35. The number of trucks coming through there is significantly higher. and I have a feeling it has to do with the fact that Athens paved that section that was formerly gravel.
Excuse me.
So what would be the board, as far as talking to this gentleman, would you rather a couple of people do it, or do you want to have it in open meeting, during an open meeting? Thoughts?
I would trust Stephen and you guys to represent myself when it comes down to it.
Rob?
I don't mind either way. Either meet them outside, you know, outside of a meeting, in a meeting, on site.
I don't mind either way.
Steve, I'll get together with you and we'll figure out the logistics of it.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay? All right, that's what we'll do, Charlie.
Okay.
Any other questions for Charlie?
Any other questions?
Only the kind of minutia, when it does come down to closing down that bridge, is there any idea how long it'll be closed down for?
The term 3 months came up.
Wow, okay. Okay.
And then,
But he also said April 1st, so.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's all, you know, that'd be whether, well, no, we said that, not Michael,
Okay.
we said that.
Okay.
Cause how long does the bid process take, a month or less? Approximately.
Approximately.
Yeah. So we were just using that as a target date, like, I'm sure this year you could have done something starting April 1st, but lots of years, you know, that's pretty iffy.
Okay. Which means Back Wyndham Road is going up and down is the only way people get home at the bottom of the hill.
It's a major issue,
Okay.
no question about it.
All right.
Um,
I'm a little ignorant on this.
There's been some talk, one of the advantages we have is Robert DeGrenier is the vice president of the Historical Society, he's obviously impacted by this. He's been talking with some people, and of course he's involved with the community project at the store. And, you know, I'm sure they're willing to try to work some things out where people, we discussed at the meeting that, and I'm willing to look into this unless the town has ideas. During Irene, the National Guard put up a temporary bridge that was a walking bridge, not a vehicle bridge. It's something that's wide that a four-wheeler could go on.
Mm-hmm.
But there were more than one of them, I think, put up around the state, and they're steel, and they put them in place. And I guess if you want me to contact them to see if such a thing exists at least for foot traffic, because Robert mentioned that people could put a car on one side and then another car on the other side. You know, the problem I think is going to be bigger for people like fuel trucks, and I mean they're just going to have to drive around, and the town trucks. You know.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
And as Steve mentioned, I think it said we definitely want all this done before snow, issues come up. So which makes sense. I mean, the work that I've seen these guys do, they're not doing in cold weather.
No.
Okay.
The invitation to bid would probably happen, let's say, September of this year.
Okay.
Because we're not gonna do it in March, because there's gonna be snow on the ground and we're not gonna be able to see.
So they have to be able to look at the site.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Right, exactly. Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
All right.
Okay,
Any other questions?
thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing we have is the rescue unit contract in your packets. Is their proposal for the next 3 years. We put this in the budget, and it is the figures that we put in the budget that they're listing here. It's a 1% increase over each year for the next 3 years, starting in July. And if I remember my numbers right, it was $116,000 over those 3 years. We've been told, we have been assured that it will not change. It will be locked in as of the signing of this contract. I guess we can start this way. I'd entertain a motion to accept Rescue Inc.'s contract for services over the next 3 years, starting July 1st, 2020. And it will renew every July 1st for the next 3 years.
So moved. Second.
Is there any, it's been moved and seconded, is there any discussion? The only question, the only thing I would have to ask the board is if, as far as signing it as a municipal representative, are you all right with me signing it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're all set with that. New business, replacing the lights in the town hall. I've been talking, I'll do this later. I've been talking about this for a while, but essentially we've got a bid in, or not a bid, we've got a price quote in from Warren Beatty, our electrician that does pretty much all of our electrical work. And this is for $1,615. This money is derived out of what was known at one point as the RDAG funds that were converted into repairing this building and keeping it up to, or keeping it up when we have things like this go on. One of the things that I've been told about these lights is that when you shut the light off with these tubes, they don't go out, they're not shut off. There's always a power draw that's coming through, and there are 32 ballasts in this building that have the same thing. Just as an energy saving model, this kind of thing will pay for itself over time. We've had problems with keeping these things lit. I know that Warren's replaced a couple of things in them, and they're just old and they're costing us money by being here. So $1,600, $1,620 is not a bad price to take care of all the materials and labor to replace them. So I guess what I would do is entertain a motion to accept this estimate from Warren Beatty to do the work and replace these lights.
So moved.
Second.
There's a move and a second. Is there any question about this? And this is more than just this room. It's going to be in the listers, the town clerks, and the treasurer's office, and those in there. So all of the first floor will have these high efficiency lights. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. And I don't believe we have anything else on the list. Has anybody else got anything to discuss? We have no executive sessions. Our next meeting is May 10th. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
In favor?